How long has the last couple of weeks felt without international rugby on the menu? But here we are on the cusp of round 3 of the Six Nations, and here is my reaction to the selection for Ireland against Wales. Ireland, who announced their team, just a minute ago, and Wales, who announced their team about a month ago, Tuesday at the very least, comically early. This is a fixture I've got a lot of affection for. For Warren Gatland, this was his first fixture back as head coach of Wales on his return last year, and it was a bit of a, return back to earth for Warren Gatland because he quickly saw the enormity of the challenge he had ahead of him. A 10 points to 34 loss last year at the Principality Stadium. And here are some of the names that were in the Wales team that day. Liam Williams, Joe Hawkins, Dan Biggar, Rhys Webb, Ken Owens, Scott Baldwin, Thomas Francis, Alan Wynne-Jones, Jack Morgan, Justin Tipuric, Taulupe Faletau. I mean, admittedly, Ireland on that day did have Hugo Keenan, Mac Hansen, Gary Ringrose, Johnny Sexton in the starting lineup, which they will not have in this game. But there is a gulf which has only intensified since, because Wales are now without the services of all of those players. It's a tough ask, isn't it? Let's get into the teams. And Ireland, the headline here, big day for Kieran Frawley, who starts at fullback with those players I mentioned, Hugo Keenan, Gary Ringrose, Jimmy O'Brien, Mac Hansen, all out. Kieran Frawley is in the 15 jersey. This is a huge moment for him. First call up for Ollie Jaeger, who starts on the bench, tight head prop. I think Finlay Bealham is having paternity leave at the minute. And because you would have thought if Ollie Jaeger was going to get a game, it would have been against Italy. But I think it was the Finlay Bealham about to become a dad. So Andy Farrell gave him the game against Italy. Anyway, a big moment for Ollie Jaeger as well. A 6-2 split with Berg Stuart McCloskey on the bench. That's an interesting call. I mean, that is Ireland's first choice pack, picks itself at the minute, and the talent they've got on the bench. Ryan Baird and Conan off the bench is crazy depth. And they've got brilliant players like Ian Henderson. Not even in a matchday squad. It's mind-boggling, isn't it? But the back line and the 6-2 split, that's where it gets interesting. So let's go through this. And well, I tell you what, more than anything, this just demonstrates the value of Jimmy O'Brien and of Gary Ringrose, who, otherwise known as Gary Wingrose, because he can operate out there. Those two between them put out a lot of fires between them in this side, don't they? Because, I don't know, it's just what happens if different players get injured. So Jameson Gibson-Park gets injured, fine, Conor Murray's on the bench. Jack Crowley gets injured, and you think it's going to be Kieran Frawley up to 10 and Stuart McCloskey on and Robbie Henshaw to fullback, I guess. If a wing goes down, if James Lowe or Calvin Nash get injured, then Jameson Gibson-Park has slotted in there before, hasn't he? So maybe that'll be the case. Murray on and Gibson-Park out to the wing. Basically 10 or 15 goes down, and this is it. Rugby's all about trade-offs. This is a trade-off. They've gone with a 6-2 split, and that means you've got a meaty-looking pack and 6 large men to come on and keep the energy up. It's much the same as South Africa with their 6-2 split, with the 7-1 split. In fact, Ireland with like a big pack and a load of big men coming off the bench. It's like very much reminiscent of South Africa, but you get a couple of injuries and you can suddenly look silly. But that said, I still think Ireland have got enough people in enough positions, enough versatility in the back line that's starting to be able to deal with it. And with the greatest of respect, they are up against Wales, so they should and will back themselves whatever happens. And Wales, maybe, moving over to them, maybe they are just hoping, as they got a few years ago, a red card or two to try and help them. I think they've done great. I think they've done more than I expected them to achieve with the personnel that they've got. I mean, this is rubber meeting the road, though, isn't it? When you come up against... Well, basically, it's Ireland in peak form against Wales at the very start of a journey rebuilding. And, what a challenge. You hope they can be competitive. I remember in that game last year, which Wales lost comfortably, their penalty count was very high against Ireland. And that is one thing that Warren Gatland has managed to do this time, is just get even these young, inexperienced guys to be very, very disciplined. Giving up cheap yards, giving up possession and territory against Ireland, you cannot do and hope to live with them. So I think that penalty count has to be exceptionally low against Ireland again for Wales. And if they can do that, then Warren Gatland, you know, he's got that mantra, be the best at the things that require no skill. So they're going to be fit, they're going to be well organised, they're going to get off the line and make their hits. They're going to have to keep the penalty count low. If they can do that, then I think they can be maybe more competitive than people will imagine they're going to be, and certainly that the bookies currently have them. I just don't know where you see a win coming from with this one, unless there is something like red cards or multiple injuries. And that's not being disrespectful to Wales, because like I say, they're at the very start of a journey. Sam Costello back in at 10, that makes sense. Johan Lloyd looked great in the second half against Scotland, but looked a bit lost against England. And Sam Costello, maybe a more all-round fly half, although he does have some limitations in his game as well. Dylan Lewis on the bench in for Archie Griffin, who's injured. And Mackenzie Martin on the bench. He only got his senior rugby debut in like October, November time. He looks to be a long-term. Wales, all of a sudden, when they've had Taulupe Faletau for so long at number 8, you sort of go, where's the next one coming from? Now they've got a bunch of them, because you've got Morgan Morse coming through. But Mackenzie Martin, he looks a really talented guy, and expect to see him coming on for probably Alex Mann, with Aaron Wainwright shifting to the flank and Mackenzie Martin doing his thing. I like the look of this kid. Lots of change before now, but actually this feels relatively settled for Wales, doesn't it? I do wonder, in the scrum half position, I'm looking on the bench at Kieran Hardy. Gareth Davis did have an absolute stinker against Scotland. He was really poor, got taken off at half-time. But he was very, very good at the World Cup only a few months ago. Would he not have been worth another shot? I guess Warren Gatland's watching him every day in training, him and Kieran Hardy, so what do I know? And Ryan Elias, I mean, they don't have a lot of options at hooker. He needs to sort his darts out when he comes on. Otherwise, Wales could be in trouble at set piece there. No Joneses in the squad. Did that happen last year? It's a rarity though, isn't it? I can't remember the last time there was a no Jones. But there we go. As for a combined team then, if you take all 46 players that are available, you pit number 1 against number 1, number 2 against number 2, all the way down to 23. This is what it looks like for me. Sorry, Wales, 21 Irishmen in the matchday squad. Josh Adams, the sole player in the starting 15 that I would pick ahead of his man. I think Tommy Raffel's been absolutely brilliant in this Six Nations, but if it was a World Cup final tomorrow and you had to pick between Josh van der Fleer and Tommy Raffel, you would pick Josh van der Fleer and you would put Tommy Raffel on the bench. That's just how it is. That's just where Wales are at. And things can change in a few years, and hopefully they will. Ireland are a team that have been building this for a long time. You can't expect them to live with it. And there we go. George North would have been relatively close to Robbie Henshaw, but Henshaw's been playing really well and has got class. The one Welshman on the bench, Mason Grady, over Stuart McCloskey. Brag Stuart McCloskey. That's simply because he can play wing and centre and is more versatile. Otherwise, it would have been McCloskey as well. Is that unfair? I don't think it's unfair, is it? I think Wales fans, as long as they see 100% effort and as long as they see a little bit of ambition and just putting bodies on the line and wearing your heart on your sleeve, I think Wales fans will be content with whatever happens. I'm sure they'll be hoping it's not a beatdown. I think it could be a bit of a beatdown, but we'll see. That's my thoughts. What's yours? Get stuck in the comments. Hit subscribe on the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. See you on the next one. The team announcements are coming thick and fast.